My beloved brothers and sisters, I stand before you today to remind you there is a power in prayer that no weapon can withstand. There is a strength in the human spirit, touched by God that no darkness can overshadow. And on this day, September 18, I call you to stand tall, to lift your voice, to cancel every evil assignment spoken over your life. Because you, my dear ones, are children of the Most High, and no curse, no scheme, no shadow can touch the light that lives within you. When you rise in the morning, before the weight of the world presses on your shoulders, before the phone begins to buzz, before the news of the day arrives, you are given a sacred opportunity, the chance to decide what kind of seeds you will plant in the soil of your spirit. The truth is this, my beloved, our words are not empty sounds. They are living, breathing forces. They go out into the atmosphere, take root in unseen places, and return to us multiplied. What you speak has the power to shape what you see. Think about the farmer. He does not throw stones into the ground and expect wheat to grow. He does not plant thorns and pray for roses. He knows that what he sows will determine his harvest. So too it is with the words of our lips. If each day we sow words of fear, despair, and defeat, how can we expect to harvest peace, joy, or victory if every morning we say, I am tired, I am unlucky, I am cursed? Then the universe, hearing your words, will bring back to you more of the same. But listen to me, you can choose differently. You can speak life and watch life answer. You can rise from your bed, stand before your mirror, and declare, today I walk in the abundance of God. Today I am strong, I am favored, I am blessed, and I am unshaken. Do you know what happens when you do that? The heaviness begins to lift, the day begins to shift, and your heart begins to remember that you are not ordinary. You are extraordinary. Let me give you a story from daily life. Imagine a woman who wakes every morning sighing, saying, another hard day. Nothing ever changes for me. I'll never get ahead. She drags herself to work, expecting trouble, and because she expects it, she notices every shadow. She misses the sunlight because she is staring at the dark corners. She misses kindness because she is expecting cruelty. Her life bends in the direction of her confession. Now, imagine the same woman, but this time she changes her words. She wakes up and whispers, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I expect good news today. I expect favor today. I expect doors to open before me. Do you know what happens? Her posture changes. She walks taller. She smiles more. And because she smiles, others smile back. Because she is expecting good, she notices the blessings she would have ignored before. Her life begins to bend toward her fate because her words are steering the ship of her destiny. That, my dear ones, is the difference between speaking death and speaking life. Every word is a seed. Every sentence is a planting. And when you realize that you will stop carelessly scattering words of defeat, you will no longer casually curse your own path by saying, I can't, I won't, I never. You will learn to say instead, I can, I will, I must, because God is with me. Think of a child. When a child falls and a mother says, get up, baby, you can do it, you're strong, the child finds strength to rise again. But if the same child is told, you'll never make it, you're weak, you're clumsy, the little one begins to believe those words and carry them into adulthood. Many of us are still wrestling with words spoken over us years ago, words of defeat that were planted like weeds in the garden of our souls. But the good news is this, you can uproot those weeds with the words you speak today. You can cancel yesterday's curses with today's confession. You can say, I am not what they called me. I am not bound by what they said. I am who God says I am. And God says I am chosen, beloved, and powerful. This is why every morning, every single morning, you must open your mouth and choose life. Even when the storm is raging, say life. Even when the bills are stacking, say life. Even when your heart is breaking, say life. Because when you declare life, you are inviting heaven to intervene in your situation. You are aligning your spirit with God's promises. You are training your eyes to see the light even when surrounded by darkness. Some will say, but Dr. Maya, I don't feel like speaking those words. I feel weak. I feel afraid. I feel broken. And to that I say, my beloved, speak it anyway. You don't speak what you feel. You speak what you believe. And what you believe will shape how you feel. You may wake up feeling small, but when you declare, I am strong, your spirit will begin to stand taller. You may wake up feeling unloved, but when you say, I am loved with an everlasting love, your heart will begin to believe it. Words are not just sounds, they are bridges. They carry you from despair to hope, from bondage to freedom, from weakness to strength. And the bridge is built every time you open your mouth to say, I choose life. So today and tomorrow, and every day that follows, remember this, you are the farmer of your future. Your words are the seeds, your heart is the soil, your faith is the water, and your harvest will be the life you live. Speak life, life will come rushing to meet you. Speak hope, and hope will stand by your side. Speak victory, and victory will march before you like an army of angels clearing the path. On this day, decide to plant well. Decide to say, I cancel death, I cancel defeat, I cancel despair, and I embrace life, abundance, joy, and peace. Say it until your heart believes it. Say it until your spirit sings it. Say it until your world reflects it. Because when you speak life, life must answer. Evil has a way of trying to creep into the corners of our lives, like shadows slipping under a door. It whispers lies, it writes scripts, it plots scenes in hopes that we will act them out. But hear me clearly, evil may draft the script, but it cannot stage the play without your permission. The pen is in your hand, the stage is under your authority. And when you stand in faith and declare, this assignment is canceled in the name of Jesus, the plans of darkness are shredded before they can ever be performed. Think of it this way. Have you ever received a letter in the mail addressed to you, but you knew it wasn't yours to receive? Perhaps it was a letter of debt, or an advertisement that did not belong to your household. What do? You stamp it with the words, Retuar no sandadar, and drop it back in the mailbox. That is what you must do with every evil assignment that tries to reach your life. When fear comes knocking, say, return to sender, I will not receive you. When sickness tries to write its story in your body, say, return to sender, by his stripes I am healed. When failure sends you a message saying, you will never rise, declare boldly, return to sender, I will rise and not fall. There was once a young man who worked tirelessly to provide for his family. Every time he came close to success, something unexpected would happen. A contract canceled, a bill doubled, a door slammed shut. He began to feel that his life was cursed. But one day, he learned the power of prayer. He stood in his small kitchen, raised his hands, and spoke aloud. Every evil assignment against my progress is canceled. I refuse to sign my name on defeat. I walk in the favor of the Lord. From that day, his posture changed. He no longer expected sabotage, he expected breakthrough. And when his heart changed, doors began to open. His prayer had not only canceled the assignment of evil, but it also aligned him with the assignments of heaven. You see, my beloved, many of us are unknowingly signing our names on scripts that do not belong to us. We say, I guess I will always be broke. And we sign the page of poverty. We sigh, I suppose I'll always be sick, and we sign the page of infirmity. We shrug, I'll never find love, and we sign the page of loneliness. But the power of prayer gives you the authority to tear up the script and refuse to play that part. You are not called to be the actor in evil's drama. You are called to be the leading light in God's masterpiece. Consider the soldier. He does not go into battle without armor. He does not leave his post unguarded. He knows the enemy will plot, but he also knows he has the authority to stand against the plot. Prayer is that armor. Prayer is that weapon. When you declare every evil assignment is canceled, you are not whispering into the void. You are sending a command into the spirit, and heaven hears. The angels move. The chains break. The script dissolves. Now think of the everyday moments. Perhaps you're walking into your job and the atmosphere feels heavy. Gossip fills the air. Negativity swirls around you. Instead of absorbing it, you quietly say, I cancel every evil word spoken in this place. I cover myself in the light of God. Suddenly your steps are lighter. You carry peace into the room. That is the power of canceling the assignment. It keeps the poison from sinking into your spirit. Or picture the mother who kneels by her child's bed at night. She knows the world outside is full of traps, temptations, and unseen dangers. She lays her hand on her child's head and whispers, Lord, every evil assignment against my child is canceled. They are covered, they are protected, they are destined for greatness. Do you see it? She is not only praying words, she is rewriting the story before it ever reaches her child. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. Just as a judge has the authority to strike down a false claim in court, you have the authority to strike down false claims made against your destiny. The enemy may accuse, but you have the advocate on your side, and when you say with faith, canceled, the gavel of heaven comes down and the case is dismissed. Some may say, but Dr. Maya, I feel powerless. Evil seems stronger than me. To that I say, yes, evil may be loud, but it is not lasting. Darkness may roar, but it cannot remain when light enters the room. You are not powerless, you are powerful because you are connected to the source of all power. A lamp without electricity is dim, but once it is plugged in, it lights up the whole house. When you plug your life into prayer, evil loses its grip. So I urge you, do not underestimate your voice. When you pray, you are not mumbling into empty air. You are issuing decrees. You are canceling contracts. You are tearing up papers written against your future. You are saying, not in my house, not in my life, not in my family. This assignment is canceled. And here's the beauty of it. When you cancel evil's assignment, you create space for God's assignment, the same mouth that says, "This curse is broken" can also say, "This blessing is released." The same prayer that cancels destruction can also call forth destiny. You are both defender and builder. You are both warrior and creator. So, on this day and every day that follows, do not walk timidly as though you are a victim of fate. Walk boldly, knowing you have the authority to reject what does not belong to you. Cancel what is evil. Embrace what is divine. Tear up the scripts of darkness and step fully into the masterpiece God has written with your name on it. You are not weak, and you are not forgotten. Too often life tries to convince us otherwise. The storms rage, the setbacks pile high, and the voices of doubt echo loudly in our ears. We begin to wonder if we matter, if our prayers are heard, if our presence on this earth makes any difference. But I stand here to remind you, your identity is not defined by your failures, your mistakes, or the labels others have thrown upon you. Your identity is carved by the very hand of God. Before you ever took your first breath, He called you His own. Before the world ever spoke your name, He whispered destiny into your soul. Think of a diamond buried deep within the earth, covered in mud, hidden in darkness, unseen by human eyes. The diamond still carries within it the brilliance that will one day shine. The mud does not change its value. The darkness does not alter its worth. In the same way, your trials do not determine who you are. The struggles you face do not erase the truth of your identity. You are precious, beloved, strong, and chosen. You are more than the names life has tried to call you. Let me give you a simple example from daily life. Picture a young boy in school. He struggles with reading, and because of that, others begin to laugh at him. A teacher, frustrated, says, "You'll never catch up." Those words sink deep, and the boy begins to believe them. For years, he calls himself slow, unworthy, incapable. But one day, someone looks at him with new eyes and says, "You are brilliant. You learn differently, but you are not less." That single affirmation ignites something within him. He begins to rise. He begins to try again. And he discovers that the very thing he thought was a weakness is actually the foundation of his unique strength. Beloved, many of us are carrying words that were spoken over us when we were young, or perhaps even yesterday, words that told us we were not enough, words that tried to shrink us into a shadow of who we truly are. But hear me, those words are lies. Your true name is not failure, not unworthy, not forgotten. Your true name is child of God, overcomer, victor. Not victim. Imagine you are holding a 100 bill. Now imagine crumpling it, stepping on it, dragging it through the dirt. Does its value decrease? No, it remains the same. You can wash it, you can smooth it out, and it will still spend like it did before. That is you. Life may have crumpled you, others may have stepped on you, but your value has not diminished. You are still who God says you are. You are still valuable. You are still worthy of love, of joy, of victory. The enemy's greatest weapon is to make you forget your identity. If you forget who you are, you will live beneath your calling. If you forget your worth, you will settle for less than what you deserve. But when you remember, when you stand tall in the truth that you are created in the image of the Almighty, then no evil assignment can prosper. Because you cannot curse what God has already blessed. You cannot erase what God has already written. I remember a story of a woman who worked for years in a job where she was overlooked. She gave her best every day, but promotions passed her by, and recognition never came. One evening, she bowed her head and said, "Lord, remind me who I am." As she prayed, she felt a quiet strength rise within her. The next morning, she walked into that office with her head held higher. She was not arrogant, but she carried herself with the dignity of one who knows her worth. Within months, doors began to open. It wasn't that her circumstances magically changed overnight. It was that she changed. Her identity was no longer tied to how others saw her. It was anchored in who God said she was. And so, my beloved, I say to you, stand tall. Stand tall when fear tries to bend your back. Stand tall when disappointment tries to bow your head. Stand tall when the voices around you whisper that you are not enough. Stand tall because your name is written in heaven. Stand tall because you are more than your pain. Stand tall because your story is not over, and the author of your life is still writing chapters of victory. Think about the eagle. While other birds hide when the storm comes, the eagle spreads its wings and uses the wind to soar higher. That is your calling. Do not cower in the storm. Do not forget your strength. Spread your wings. Let the very winds that were meant to break you carry you closer to your destiny. Even in your quiet moments when nobody applauds, when nobody notices, remind yourself, I am not forgotten. I am not invisible. My worth is not dependent on their approval. I belong to God, and He sees me. And know this, He who sees you never sleeps, never slumbers, never overlooks. His eye is on the sparrow, and surely His eye is on you. So lift your chin as beloved. Square your shoulders. Walk into tomorrow not as a beggar, but as an heir. You are an heir of grace, of power, of joy. You are not ordinary. You are extraordinary. And no storm, no lie, no shadow can ever erase that truth. When evil comes knocking, it will find you standing tall, unshaken, rooted in your identity as a child of God. Guard your heart, my beloved, for it is the wellspring of life. Everything you allow into that sacred space, every word, every thought, every influence, will eventually shape the direction of your journey. The heart is not a careless vessel. It is the throne room of your spirit. And just as a wise king does not allow every visitor into his court, you must not allow every voice, every doubt, or every fear into the chambers of your heart. Too many of us feed on what weakens us. We feast on worry as though it were bread. We sip on fear as though it were wine. We nibble on gossip, swallow negativity, and wonder why our hearts feel heavy and our steps feel slow. But I tell you this truth, what you feed your heart will determine the strength of your spirit. If you dine at the table of despair, despair will grow within you. But if you feast on the promises of God, joy will rise, strength will multiply, and peace will settle into your bones. Think your heart like a garden. If you plant roses, roses will bloom. If you plant weeds, weeds will take over. And if you plant nothing at all, weeds will still creep in uninvited. So you must be intentional. Guard the soil of your soul. Pull out the weeds of bitterness before they choke your joy. Water the seeds of hope with prayer. Let the sunlight of God's word nourish you daily. Only then will your garden produce a harvest of peace, love, and victory. Let me give you an everyday example. Imagine a woman who wakes up and the first thing she does is scroll through her phone. She fills her mind with headlines of disaster, voices of anger, images of comparison. Before she even steps out of bed, her heart is burdened. She begins her day already weary. Now picture another woman. She wakes up and before touching her phone, she whispers a prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Guard my heart, guide my steps, and fill me with your peace. She opens her Bible, reads a passage of hope, and carries that truth into her morning. The difference between the two is not the absence of problems, but the presence of protection. One allowed her heart to be invaded by fear. The other chose to guard her heart with faith. Or consider the man who listens to voices that tell him he is not enough. He sits in the break room at work where workers complain all day. They speak lack, they speak defeat, they speak failure. If he absorbs their words, soon he finds himself discouraged, doubtful, hopeless. But if he guards his heart, if he chooses to step outside and breathe fresh air while whispering a prayer, he protects the sacred garden within. He may still hear their words, but he does not let them take root in his soil. Beloved, guarding your heart does not mean closing yourself off from the world. It does not mean building walls so high that nobody can reach you. It means choosing wisely what you allow to enter. It means setting boundaries, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. A gardener does not hate the weeds. He simply knows they cannot be allowed to grow unchecked. A shepherd does not despise the wolves. He simply knows he must protect the sheep. In the same way, you must guard your heart, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to protect your destiny. Think also of music. If you fill your ears with songs of despair, anger, or hopelessness, it will not be long before your heart beats to the same rhythm. But if you fill your ears with melodies of faith, hope, and love, your heart will dance to a different tune. The same applies to the company you keep. Sit long enough with the bitter, and bitterness will creep into your soul. Walk with the hopeful, and hope will bloom within you. Guard your heart by choosing wisely where you dwell, what you listen to, and whom you surround yourself with. Guarding your heart also means forgiving quickly. Bitterness is the heaviest chain a soul can wear. Unforgiveness poisons the well of the heart. It whispers, hold on to the pain. But in truth, it is not the other person who suffers. It is you. Forgiveness does not excuse what they did. It frees you from carrying their weight. When you release the offense, you place a shield over your heart that no bitterness can penetrate. There was a man who carried anger against his father for years. Every time he thought of him, his heart grew heavy. His relationship suffered, his health declined, and his joy disappeared. One day, he knelt and whispered, Lord, I forgive him not because he deserves it, because I deserve peace. From that moment, the weight lifted. His heart was guarded by grace, and his life blossomed again. My beloved, your heart is too precious to be left unguarded. The world will always offer fear, doubt, and despair. But you have the choice to say, no, I will not feast on fear. I will not sip from the cup of worry. I will not allow bitterness to poison my well. I will feast on faith. I will drink from the cup of hope. I will water the garden of my soul with prayer, and I will let the light of God's love shine on me daily. And so I say to you, protect what you feed your spirit. Choose carefully what you allow to enter your heart. Do not entertain the voices of doubt. Do not dine with despair. Instead, build your life around the promises of God. Make prayer your shield. Make faith your sword. and your heart will remain unshaken even in the fiercest storm. Your heart is the home of your destiny. Guard it well. And when you guard it, no evil assignment can ever take root in you. On this September 18, let every chain of the past be broken. Chains come in many forms, beloved. Some are visible, heavy and cold, like iron shackles. Others are invisible, hidden deep in the spirit, yet just as binding. They are the patterns that repeat across generations, failure that seems to follow a family line, poverty that clings like a shadow, sickness that passes from one household to the next, heartbreak that seems inherited. These are not simply coincidences. These are chains forged over time, strengthened by silence and accepted as just the way it is. But I tell you today, you were not born to live bound. You were born to walk in freedom. Imagine a young man whose father struggled with anger, whose grandfather before him had the same rage, and whose great-grandfather's life was marked by violence. The young man grows up swearing he will be different, but when the pressures of life weigh on him, he feels that same fire rising, that same chain tightening. He fears he will repeat the same mistakes, hurt the same people, and live the same story. But when he lifts his voice in prayer and says, "Lord, break this chain of anger over my life," something begins to shift. The cycle is interrupted. What destroyed generations before him will not destroy him, because prayer has cut the link. That is the power of canceling generational chains. Think also of a woman who grew up in poverty. She remembers nights when the cupboards were bare, when the sound of hunger in her belly drowned out her dreams. As she grows older, she works hard, but the pattern repeats. Money slips through her hands, opportunities vanish, and scarcity becomes her companion. She begins to believe it is her destiny to always lack. But one day, she stands in her small kitchen, raises her hands, and says, "This chain of poverty breaks today. I will not pass it to my children. Abundance will flow in my family line." She begins to budget with wisdom, to pray with faith, to give generously even when it is hard. And slowly, the chain begins to fall away. She creates a new story, one of provision and plenty, not just for herself, but for the generations that follow. Beloved, chains are not just about money or anger. They can be chains of sickness, where every generation seems to carry the same illness. They can be chains of addiction, where substances or habits trap father, mother, son, and daughter alike. They can be chains of broken relationships, where marriages collapse again and again, as though cursed. But here is the truth. The blood of Jesus cancels every curse, breaks every chain, and rewrites every story. You do not have to live out the script of the past. You do not have to inherit what broke those before you. You have the authority to say, "The chains stop here. They will not pass through me. My children will not inherit this burden. I walk in liberty." I think of a farmer standing in his field. Year after year, his crops are poor. His soil is weak. He accepts that his land is cursed, that nothing will grow. But one season, he chooses to till the soil differently. He pulls up the stones, adds new nutrients, waters faithfully, and prays over the ground. That year, the harvest is rich. What changed? The curse was broken because he decided to do something different. In the same way, you can till the soil of your life. You can choose new habits, new prayers, new declarations that break the old patterns and bring forth a new harvest. Do not let the enemy convince you that chains are permanent. Chains are not permanent. They are made to be broken. The addiction that gripped your father does not have to grip you. The sickness that haunted your mother does not have to dwell in your body. The failures that trailed your ancestors do not have to mark your future. When you pray with faith, you are wielding a hammer in the spirit. With every declaration, "The chains are broken, I walk in liberty," you are striking the metal links until they shatter. And when the chains break for you, they break for those who come after you. This is why your victory is so important. Your freedom is not only for you, it is an inheritance for your children and your children's children. When you refuse to repeat the mistakes of the past, you gift your descendants a new beginning. You pass down blessings instead of burdens, joy instead of sorrow, abundance instead of lack. Beloved, I know some chains feel too strong, too old, too heavy to break. But let me remind you, no chain is stronger than the power of God. What has been in your family for generations can be undone in a moment of faith. What feels like a curse set in stone can crumble like dust when touched by the hand of the Almighty. It is not by your strength, but by His. And His strength never fails. So on this day, declare it boldly. Every chain of the past is broken. Chains of failure, you cannot bind me. Chains of sickness, you cannot hold me. Chains of poverty, you cannot define me. Chains of despair, you cannot stay with me. I walk in freedom. I walk in victory. I walk in liberty. And let your life be the proof. Walk differently. Speak differently. Expect differently. Refuse to bow to the old story. Refuse to pass down the old burden. Write a new chapter for yourself and for those who will come after you. Because when you stand in your authority, the chains that bound your family for generations cannot bind you. You are the chain breaker. You are the curse canceller. You are the one who turns the page. And from this day forward, your story will no longer be about bondage. It will be about freedom. Do not only pray for yourself, stretch your prayer like a canopy, wide enough to shelter those you love. Prayer is never meant to be selfish. It is not a whisper for one heart alone. It is a river that flows outward, covering your children, your spouse, your siblings, your friends, and even those you may never meet. When you pray, you hold in your hands the power to shape destinies beyond your own. One voice lifted to heaven can protect an entire household, can redirect an entire bloodline, can bless an entire community. Think of the mother who rises before the sun. While her children still sleep, she kneels beside their beds. She lays her hands gently on their pillows and says, Lord, cover them today. Guard their minds, guide their steps, protect their hearts. Those children may never know the depth of her prayers, but they walk through life wrapped in an invisible armor. Doors open for them. Trouble passes by them. Blessings chase after them. All because someone stretched prayer like a canopy over their heads. Or consider the father who pauses before leaving for work. He closes his eyes and whispers those, Lord, keep my family safe today. Let no harm come near them. Let peace fill our home. He may be gone for hours, but his prayer lingers like a shield. Even in his absence, the canopy remains. That is the power of covering your family with prayer. It is not bound by distance or time. It travels with them, unseen but unshaken. Beloved, do not underestimate what your prayers can do for those connected to you. The world may tell you that protection comes only from locks on doors or alarms on walls, but I tell you the greatest security system is a praying heart. Locks can be broken, alarms can fail, but prayer summons angels to stand watch. Prayer builds walls that cannot be breached, gates that cannot be stormed, and fortresses that no enemy can climb. I remember a story of a grandmother who prayed daily for her grandson. He was far from home, walking paths of danger, making choices that broke her heart. But every night she whispered, Lord, wherever he is, cover him. Let no evil assignment touch him. Bring him back to the light. Years passed, and that young man stumbled through trouble. But trouble never claimed his life. One day, weary and broken, he found his way home. When asked how he survived, he said, I don't know. I should not have made it. But his grandmother knew. It was the canopy of prayer stretched over him that carried him through the storm. Prayer, my dear ones, is not wasted. Even when you cannot see the results immediately, your words are seeds planted in the soil of eternity. You may pray today for your child, and 20 years later, those prayers may bloom into protection, provision, and purpose. You may pray today for your spouse, and tomorrow peace may enter their troubled mind. You may pray for your siblings, and even if you live in different lands, your prayer reaches them like a soft but steady wind, surrounding them with strength. Do not think your prayer is too small. A single candle can light a whole room. A single drop of water can ripple across a pond. A single prayer spoken with faith can ripple across generations. When one rises, the whole family rises. When one stands tall in prayer, the whole house gains strength. Think about daily life. You may be busy, you may be tired, you may feel you do not have hours to spend in prayer. But hear me, prayer does not need to be long to be powerful. It can be as simple as saying, Lord, bless my family while you cook. Lord, protect them as you drive. Lord, guide them as you fold their clothes. Each small whisper adds to the canopy, thread by thread, until it becomes a strong, unbreakable covering. And remember, this prayer is generational wealth. Money can run out. Possessions can be lost. But the prayers you release over your family will outlive you. They will echo into the lives of your children's children. They will rise as a shield when you are no longer here to hold their hands. That is the legacy you can leave. A canopy so strong that even the fiercest storm cannot tear it apart. There is a story of a man who in his final days prayed over each of his children by name. He spoke blessings over their lives, protection over their paths, strength over their struggles. After he passed, his family faced hardships, but time and again, they found doors opening, dangers passing, and blessings flowing. They would say, it feels like someone is still praying for us. And indeed he was. His prayers, spoken in faith, still worked long after his voice was silent. Beloved, do not keep your prayers locked inside yourself. Cover your family, cover your household, cover your community. Speak blessings out loud so the heavens can hear, so the earth can respond, and so your family can flourish. Stretch your prayer like a canopy, wide and strong, until it shelters all who are connected to you. And when you do this, something remarkable happens. You are not only protecting your family, you are changing their destiny. You are placing them on a path where evil assignments cannot prevail. You are surrounding them with favor they did not earn but will surely enjoy. You are leaving them a gift greater than gold, a shield stronger than steel, a canopy of prayer that no darkness can penetrate. So I say to you today, do not just pray for yourself. Stretch it, expand it. Let your prayer become a covering so wide that those who walk beneath it will never know the dangers they escape. They will never know the battles that were fought and won in silence because you lifted their names in faith. Prayer is not selfish. It is love extended, protection multiplied, destiny secured, and under that canopy your family will not only survive, they will thrive. I know, beloved, life has hurt you. It has carved scars across your soul and poured tears into your nights. Some of you carry wounds so deep that you wonder if they will ever heal. Betrayal from those you trusted, disappointment from dreams that crumbled, loss that left an empty chair at your table. Pain has a way of whispering that it is permanent, that it will define you, that it will chain you to the past forever. But I am here to remind you that pain is not the end of your story. Pain is the beginning of transformation. The wound is not your grave, it is your anointing. The very place where you bled is the place where you will blossom. Think about the seed buried in the soil. It must break apart before it grows. The shell must crack, the husk must split, and only then can life burst forth. Without that breaking, there is no rising. In the same way, your pain is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to release the greatness inside of you. The breaking is the beginning of the becoming. Consider a woman who lost her job after years of service. She was devastated, convinced that her value had been stripped away. For months, she carried shame and sorrow like a cloak. But in her stillness, she discovered a gift she had buried long ago, her love for writing. What began as journaling her pain turned into words that inspired others. Soon, she was writing articles, speaking to groups, sharing her story. What she thought was her ending was actually the doorway to her true calling. Her pain became her power. Or picture a young man who grew up in a broken home. He swore he would never become like his father, yet found himself repeating the same mistakes. The shame weighed heavily, and he believed his pain had disqualified him from ever doing anything meaningful. But one day, he met someone who told him, "Your story is not over. Use your pain to help others." Slowly, he began volunteering with troubled youth. He found that the very wounds he carried gave him the compassion to reach those others could not touch. His pain had prepared him to become a healer. Beloved, your pain is not wasted. Every tear you cried watered the soil of your strength. Every night you endured taught your spirit to cling to hope. Every disappointment trained your heart to rise again. Do not despise your scars. They are proof that you survived. They are the map that shows where you have been and the evidence that you are still standing. And if you are still standing, it means you are still destined to rise higher. Think of gold refined in the fire. The flames do not destroy the gold, they purify it. They remove the impurities and reveal its brilliance. In the same way, the fire of pain does not destroy you, it purifies you. It burns away what cannot last and leaves behind the treasure that was always within you. I know the questions come. Why did I have to go through this? Why did I lose them? Why did my dream fall apart? Why me? These are human questions, born of hearts that ache. And yet, though we may never have all the answers, we do have this promise: nothing is wasted in the hands of God. What was meant for evil will be turned for good. What was meant to break you will become the very thing that builds you. Look at the butterfly. Before it can fly, it must endure the darkness of the cocoon. Before it can stretch its wings, it must wrestle against confinement. That struggle strengthens it. Without the struggle, its wings would not be strong enough to carry it. Without the pain of pressure, there would be no beauty in flight. Your cocoon, your confinement, your season of struggle is not the end. It is the preparation for your soaring. And let us be clear, pain does not mean you are weak. Pain means you are alive. Pain means you have felt deeply, loved deeply, and risked greatly. Only those who dare to live fully encounter wounds. But those wounds, when placed in God's hands, become the very source of wisdom and resilience. I remember a man who lost everything in a storm. His house was destroyed, his possessions gone. For a time he walked around in despair, unable to see beyond the rubble. But when he began to rebuild, he discovered something new. Neighbors came together, strangers offered help, friendships formed that would last a lifetime. He said, "I lost my house, but I gained a community. I lost things, but I found people." His pain had birthed a new kind of power, one rooted in connection and love. Beloved, I want you to hear this. Your pain will not have the last word. Your tears are not forever. Your scars are not your shame. They are the marks of a warrior, the evidence of survival, the testimony of resilience. The enemy may have thought the wound would destroy you, but instead it will elevate you. The place where you bled will be the place where others are healed. The place where you wept will be the place where you will rejoice. So do not hide your scars. show them. Do not silence your pain, speak it. Do not waste your suffering, transform it. Tell your story, because your story is the medicine someone else is waiting for. Your pain will give someone else permission to hope again. Your healing will give someone else the courage to believe again. Your testimony will give someone else the strength to rise again. Say it with me now: my pain shall be my power, my tears shall be my testimony, my wounds shall be my wisdom. And when you walk with that truth, nothing, not betrayal, not disappointment, not loss, can ever keep you down. For you will rise again stronger, wiser, braver, and more radiant than before. Stand strong in faith, beloved, for faith is the anchor that holds you steady when life tries to toss you like a ship in a raging storm. Without faith, the winds of doubt will uproot you, the waves of fear will drown you, and the whispers of evil will confuse you. But when you choose faith, unshakable, immovable, unwavering, you become like a tree planted by rivers of water. No matter how fierce the storm, you remain standing rooted in something greater than yourself. Faith is not just believing when the sun shines. Faith is believing when the sky is dark, when the answers are delayed, when the mountain before you refuses to move. Faith is not a soft whisper of hope. It is a roaring declaration that says, though I cannot see it, I know it is coming. Though I do not hold it yet, I know it belongs to me. Though the enemy plots against me, I know my God is stronger. Look at daily life. Imagine a farmer planting seeds in the soil. He cannot see the harvest yet. He waters the ground, tends the field, waits under the sun, and still days pass, weeks pass, months pass, and nothing seems to appear, yet he does not quit. Why? Because he believes the harvest will come. That is faith in action. You may not see the fruit yet, but beneath the surface, roots are growing, life is forming, and in due season, it will spring forth. Or think of the parent who works 2 jobs to provide for their children. They rise before dawn, labor all day, and come home weary. They may not see immediate results, but they trust that their sacrifice will pave a brighter road for their children. That is faith, a determination to believe that today's struggle will produce tomorrow's blessing. Beloved, standing strong in faith does not mean you will never feel fear. It means you refuse to let fear control you. It means you look fear in the face and declare, you will not have the last word. It means that when evil tries to convince you that the assignment against your life will succeed, you answer boldly, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That is the language of faith. Faith is what keeps the single mother from collapsing under the weight of responsibility. Faith is what keeps the grieving widow from sinking into despair. Faith is what keeps the young student pushing forward, even when every door seems closed. Faith is what keeps you walking, even when the road is long and lonely. Faith does not always remove the storm, but it gives you the strength to endure the storm until the rainbow breaks through. I remember a story of a woman diagnosed with a grave illness. The doctors told her the odds were slim. Fear knocked at her door every night, whispering that her end was near. But she chose to stand in faith. She prayed, Lord, whether you heal me in this life or the next, I trust you. I will not live these days in fear, but in faith. And as she held on, her peace grew stronger than her pain. Her faith became a testimony that inspired everyone around her. She lived longer than the doctors predicted, and though the illness tried to weaken her body, it never touched her spirit. That is what faith does. It gives you strength that no disease, no darkness, no evil assignment can touch. Think about the mountain climber. Each step is steep, each breath is heavy, but they keep climbing because they believe the summit is worth it. Your faith is the same. Every step you take toward your destiny may feel heavy. You may stumble, you may grow weary, but faith reminds you that the view at the top will make every struggle worthwhile. And understand this faith is contagious. When you stand strong, others are encouraged to stand strong too. A child watching their parent remain faithful learns resilience. A friend watching another persevere through trial learns courage. Your faith is not just for you. It is a torch that lights the path for others. Beloved, faith is not built in comfort. It is built in challenge. Muscles grow by resistance, and faith grows by testing. Do not despise the testing of your faith, for it is shaping you into someone unshakable. Each time you choose faith over fear, you add another brick to the fortress of your soul. Each time you declare, I still believe, you strengthen the foundation under your feet. Stand strong in faith, not because the road is easy, but because the one who walks with you is faithful. Faith is not blind. It sees with spiritual eyes what the natural eye cannot. Faith is not weak. It is the greatest strength you can ever possess. Faith is not uncertain. It is the assurance that God's word is true, his promises are sure, and his power is unmatched. So when the storm comes, plant your feet in faith. When the night falls, lift your eyes in faith. When the evil assignment comes against you, raise your voice in faith and declare with boldness, I will not be moved. I will not be broken. I will not be defeated. My faith is my fortress, my shield, my song. And know this, when you stand strong in faith, heaven stands with you. Angels surround you. The enemy trembles before you, and victory, sweet, undeniable victory, becomes your inheritance.